Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Office Podcast. I'm your host, Hassan. Thank you to everyone that tuned in to the last episode. It really means a lot to me. Like I said, I was away for a while from this podcast, and all I thought about was making episodes. So it's good to be back. It was good to go over my favorite intros, the internet's favorite intros in the last episode. Today, I found another list online. I think for me to stay non-biased, and hopefully later on I can be more biased, but right now I think it's important to look at what the internet feels and thinks about the show and what they rate and rank these episodes, because they are amazing episodes and it's such an amazing series. And like I said, it's one of the best series I've ever seen, and it's interesting to understand why everyone else enjoys the episodes in the show as much as I do. So it's only right I look through another list online of episodes, just episodes in general, why people think certain episodes are in the top 10. So again, I found another list. Let's just go through it, and hopefully I can get some of your comments and opinions as well in the comment section below, which would be really amazing. There should be an email address there too, and if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you should see an email address. Email in. I'd love to hear your opinions on the podcast, and if there's anything that you'd like me to go over, any specific categories, any specific characters, anything along the lines of that, please do let me know. I am open to any suggestions. So, top 10 episodes. At number 10 on this particular list, we have Niagara Falls, part 1. So obviously Niagara Falls is when Jim and Pam are getting married. They go over to Niagara Falls to get married. What do I think of this episode? I did really enjoy it. It was one of my favorite episodes. One of the many rare occasions that the people from the office are actually in a different environment, out of their comfort zone. And it's good to see the characters really develop. So obviously you had Jim and Pam getting married. You had Michael and Dwight doing what Michael and Dwight do. You had Kevin's shoes being thrown away and him having to use tissue boxes as shoes. Like, all these crazy things that would usually happen in the office also happened outside the office, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I think, would I say it was like top 10? Probably not. But it's probably in the top 15. Like, it was really good. And the fact that it was in 2 parts as well. It was like a mini movie. You could say it was a mini movie, I guess. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think for me, it was, again, following a trend. I think the Chris Brown trend where people dance to in weddings or whatever around that time when the song was big, was really good to have that in there. A trend I was actually aware of, unlike the last one where they had the intro to season 7 and it completely went over my head. So that was good to see that. And again, just to see everyone out of the office, and for Kelly and Andy to continue their dance off, which was hilarious. And Andy hurted himself. That was pretty funny. But again, it's just, seeing every single character in their element was really nice for me. And yeah, top 15 for me. I probably wouldn't say top 10. I think there's better episodes out there, but yeah, top 15 for sure. Number 9 on this list, we have Casino Night. That is when Jim lets Pam know that he's in love with her. Man, you know my opinion on Pam. I don't like Pam. I never have liked Pam, and I don't think I ever will like Pam. So for me, this was a bit of a weak episode, man. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. I think there could have been multiple reasons why Jim could have gone to Stanford. The fact that he didn't enjoy being in Scranton, the fact that he, just didn't enjoy the company he was in. There was no progression because, when he was in Stanford, to my knowledge, he was actually promoted. So that could have been the narrative for him leaving. The thing between him and Pam, I don't know, man. I think I was reaching a little bit. I think again, there was a lot of significance put on Pam in this series, and I really want to like Pam. I really want to like her, the character, the narrative, the fact that she marries Jim, the fact that she's nice to everyone. I want to, but I just can't. No one has swayed me yet. No one has changed my mind yet. This is definitely not in a top 10 for me. This is like this probably being one of the worst episodes for me. I really didn't like the casino night episode. It really wasn't great. I think the funniest thing about this episode was the fact that Carol and Jan were both there, and Michael, obviously his imagination was just running away with him. That was funny, part of the episode. And then obviously Kevin, everyone finding out Kevin's some like master poker player. That was funny. And then him losing all of his money. Yeah, I think elements of it were funny, but to have that as the main narrative where, Jim declares his undying love for Pam, that wasn't for me, man. Threat Level Midnight, yes, elite episode. One of my favorite episodes, one of my favorite movies. By the way, those of you that don't know, they actually released a full-length movie of Threat Level Midnight a couple years back, maybe 4 years back, something like that. It was epic. It lived up to the hype. But yeah, Threat Level Midnight was one of my favorite episodes. It was good that they showed only snippets of the movie, but I think I was annoyed for a long time that I didn't get to see the whole thing, and the fact that the writers released it, I was so happy. So yeah, I really appreciate the fact that they did that, and I think to have, and that was the Office movie essentially for me. Like, they didn't have to do like a full length episode or a 3-hour episode to make it like a movie. The fact that Threat Level Midnight, Michael Scarn, all of that was the Office movie for me. So yeah, definitely a good episode. Probably for me, it's probably in the top 15, not quite top 10, probably top 15. The next one is Garage Sale, or Garage Sale, as us Brits say. This is the one where Michael proposes to Holly. Good episode. I think it's a good episode. I think the funniest bit of this episode is when Michael's trying to haggle with Kevin over the light that he has for sale. And the fact that he doesn't know how to haggle, which is hilarious. And again, I think this is the episode where where Jim convinces Dwight that there's magic beans that he has for sale, and Dwight works his way up from, I think it's like a drawing pin to a telescope, and then Jim sells him magic beans for the telescope. So that Dwight and Jim narrative was really good there. But yeah, I think this was the perfect end to Michael leaving. I think this is, narrative-wise, him leaving the show, this is the only way that it could happen. The fact that he had to move away, I don't think there'd be any other reason for him to move away other than he got promoted to corporate or whatever, and no one really saw him again. But that wouldn't make sense, because the connection with corporate is quite a large one, because we always saw who was in corporate. We saw Ryan all the time, we saw Jan all the time, we even saw like the Sabre owners all the time, Joe and Gabe. So it wouldn't make sense for Michael to go work at corporate and not be in the show anymore, because they'd have to show him. But for him to be moving away to Colorado with Holly, that was a good narrative. And yeah, one of my favorite episodes. Probably again, maybe top 15, not quite top 10. The dinner party. This is the dinner party where Jan and Michael host. Andy, Angela, Pam and Jim, and then Dwight and his babysitter show up as well. This is 100% top 5 episodes for me. It's the most chaotic episode I've ever watched, and it's so rogue. It's such a rogue episode. It's just like the most awkward dinner encounter ever, and I keep having to remind myself that it's a show. The way that Michael and Jan speak to one another, the way that Michael tries to get Andy and Jim to invest in Serenity by Jan, the way that they put Hunter's music on and Jan starts dancing. Like, every single bit of this episode is cringeworthy, and it's one of my favorite. The way that Michael pushes that flat screen TV onto the wall with minimal movement, I still laugh to this day so hard at that bit, and like, I just enjoy watching the outtakes so much of this episode. It's such a good episode. And the one where Michael and Jan are fighting over dinner as well. It's the perfect episode. There's very rare episodes like this, but this is one of my favorite episodes. It's one of those episodes that you can't replicate in any way. Like, everything just seems so natural. Everything doesn't seem like it's forced. And I think if you try to replicate an episode like this, it wouldn't work. I think a lot of sitcoms try to do that. They try to copy other shows or replicate an episode to get the same effect. And I think what The Office does brilliantly is that they don't try and do that. And I'm glad they didn't try and do that with this episode. because it would have been a massive problem. Episode 5 on here, it says AARM. I'm going to just quickly look at the description, but I think this is the one where Dwight holds tryouts for people to become assistant to the regional manager. I don't really remember this episode much, if I'm honest. This one went over my head a little bit. I know this is when Jim comes back from Philly because him and Pam are having problems, and he's the assistant to the assistant. Yeah, I don't know. This episode wasn't that funny for me. I think the earlier episodes are my favorites. I think season 8 and 9, they were good. Don't get me wrong, they were really good. But I think the funnier episodes is the one where Michael Scott's in, and yeah, I don't know. Just for me, it wasn't the one. Yeah, probably like top 20, maybe top 25, something like that. The fourth one on here is part 2 of Niagara Falls. That's when they actually get married. I put part 1 and 2 in one thing, so we've already been over that. But yeah, it was pretty good. It was a good couple episodes. Number 3 is Stress Relief. So this is the one where Stanley gets a heart attack from the fire drill that Dwight starts at the beginning of the episode, and then Michael holding a roast in his honor. Which doesn't make sense, but this was a good episode. I think to have Michael have a Comedy Central roast was amazing. The fact that he was the only one on stage was amazing, and I think this episode was really good because, oh no, am I getting this wrong? No, it is. Sorry, it is, because this is the one where the lady comes in with the first aid dummy. And Dwight proceeds to chop its face off with a knife. Yeah, no, this is the episode I'm talking about. Yeah, I love this episode. That is one of my favourite scenes, the first aid scene. Yeah, that's one of my favourite scenes of all time in the show. And this episode, yeah, is a great episode. Top 10 for me, for sure. Goodbye, Michael. This is obviously the episode where Michael leaves. He's convinced everyone that he's leaving the day after, but in actual fact, he's leaving on that day, and Jim is the only one that figures that out. It was an okay episode. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything in it that kind of screams out to me and that's highlighted in my head where I'm thinking, yeah, it's an amazing episode. It was good. It was okay. It was an okay episode. Sad to see Michael go. And the pursuit on trying to get Pam back to the office so he could say goodbye to her and all that. Yeah, I don't know. I think they could have made it a bit more. I don't know. A bit more of a momentous occasion, I think, Michael leaving. And I don't know, I think him going away slowly is not in Michael fashion. And I think they messed up a little bit with that. I know they tried to make him seem different because he was leaving and everything else and he changed and all that, but the real Michael Scott wouldn't have done that. It would have been a massive event that he would have thrown for him leaving. And I think, I don't know. It just didn't seem right to me. I think they could have done better. Last but not least on this list is you've got the finale as being the number 1 best episode. I think it's top 5 for me. I really did enjoy this episode. Everyone kind of doing and ending up where they had to be. Dwight as manager, married to Angela with his kid. Kevin in his bar. Jim and Pam going to Philadelphia after Pam finally comes to her senses and lets Jim do what he wants. All that stuff. I really did enjoy it. And obviously the return of Michael as well, which was really cool. Very, very unexpected. I think when I was watching the show, I stopped watching in season 7 when I was in university. And I didn't realize there was a season 8 and 9. I thought season 7 was it. And then I stopped watching for a couple of years, and when I came back home, I realised that there was an 8 and 9. I realised that there was an 8. And then years after that, I watched 9. I didn't even know it existed. I saw a meme online about the finale, and I realised that actually I haven't seen a whole season, and that was season 9. So yeah, great episode. Probably top 10 for me. Hopefully I will go through the list of my favourite episodes on the next podcast or maybe in some episodes down the line. But yeah, this is a great show, man. Hopefully you're listening to this and you agree, but The Office is a great show. It's one of the easiest watches. You can put an episode on and eat dinner. You can put an episode on and do the laundry. Like, it's such an easy watch. You don't have to, like, if you know the show, you know what episode you're listening to. You don't even need to be watching. It's just the way the show flows. It's such a great show. But that is everything today. That is the episode. Thank you so much for all of your support on all the platforms. I look at them every day. I look at the comments every day. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. If you want to get involved, then please drop a comment in the comment section below and just ask me questions. There should be an email address as well in the description box somewhere. Send an email. Let me hear what you think of the podcast, and if there's anything that you want me to talk about specifically, I'd love to. But in the meantime, I'm going to just be scouring the internet for all the different categories and just going through them in the meantime until this podcast has like some kind of structure which I go through. But right now it's ad hoc. Like right now I'm just doing it off the top of the dome. There's no script, there's nothing. There's just a bit of, a prompt, and then I just proceed to talk about the show that I love. But thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you could like, share and subscribe, it would really mean a lot to me. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace and love. Take care.